talk about how to keep deals together, even though we have people wanting to cancel. That's our real wins. This is what we really do. We need to talk
Right.
about fiduciary too, responsibility on single agency, because people forget what that means.
Yes.
Agents
Loose lips sink ships.
and kill deals. And
Absolutely kill them. So they're bad tempers.
oh my goodness, it's like we have to be the calming force. And yeah,
We do.
um,
We do.
yeah. So, did you have a good evening? What were you cooking up with that rice?
I had the little carnitas, which is the little pieces of meat. That's all the good Angus meat. Grilled that really, really good, stovetop. Then we added an eggplant, yellow and red peppers, onions, all kinds of seasonings from the yard. We got all kinds of herbs and stuff growing. And let's
I
see
should
what
come
else.
over to your house.
I know, man.
I had
I
chicken
know it.
tacos.
Chicken tenders are good. Although
Yeah.
I tore off chickens. I had food poisoning 3 weeks ago. I don't want to see a chicken. I don't
Oh,
want to
yeah,
see nothing to do with chicken.
Now, these were the spicy hot chicken tacos.
Those are so good.
Yeah, they were. They were.
Yeah. Yeah, those are excellent.
So yeah, you guys, if you tune in early, you hear Kat and I talk about food all the time.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. Yours truly. Having grown up in the restaurant business, I used to follow my dad around when I was a little girl with little pigtails, full of opinions. Imagine that still.
Still, really? Would never have known.
No, would never know. Follow my poppy around and took notes. My dad was all of 6'4", straight from Ireland, and could cook the best Sicilian food you ever had in your life because he was around Sicilian and Spanish people all his life. He was brought up in an orphanage and then finally adopted, and he learned the trade along the way after he got out of the service. So long story short, I got all these recipes in my head and I don't know who I'm stealing them from, but they're good.
That's good. That's good. So
Get some water.
I did.
I know.
Yeah, it's been crazy lately.
Oh,
And you know, we get this
exhausted.
way. This is like 2005. It gets this way when we get really, really, really busy.
Yes.
And the stress pours on everybody.
Ooh,
And that's what we
it
have
sure
to talk about,
does.
is deflating the stress today and
Yeah.
making sure our contracts get through, because it's real. It's real.
Yeah, and we help our agents stay off the ledge because they're stressed out, rightfully so. They're going through hell.
Absolutely. So we have
Yes.
a lot to cover today. Oh my
know it.
goodness. I
Yeah.
have a basic outline.
I have scribbles.
Because you and I are going to be not just ad-libbing, because we have so much content. We talked yesterday. We have so much content we can throw out today to help you all, to help the agents. And I think that it's going to be very helpful today.
And well, because
So,
all of us care so much, we constantly jump in and help our agents. We're always there by your side. So that makes a big difference. That's why we know so much about what you're going through, because we actually are invested in it with you.
absolutely. What other brokers and managers do that? Nobody.
None.
Nobody.
None.
Yeah. So that being said, it's 8:30. Good morning. Good morning, America. Okay,
Hey, good morning. Happy post Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. Hope everybody survived last night. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because as Ken and I were talking right before 8:30, we really want to help you overcome some challenges. Whoops, wrong one. I get to the right. Nope. I was doing a career seminar last night. There we go. Because there is so much going on. This is like shades of 2005 and 6 all over again, where everybody's scrambling. Everybody's, oh my God, we got to do something right now. The stress is on. The stress is on the buyers. The stress is on the sellers. I've had 4 cancellations the last 3 days. Wanting to cancel. That's a want to. We kept them together.
Keyword.
Want to. I had a seller going, oh my God, I can't find a house yet to buy. Well, you got a buyer ready, willing, and able. What can we do? Let's try and extend. So we did. We've got buyers day before yesterday, the day of closing, the buyer says, oh, I changed my mind. And what was our response was, you need to
Shotgun.
talk
No,
to
I'm
an
just
attorney
kidding.
right now. Talk to an attorney because you're obligated to close.
Right. Mental
And
shotguns.
yeah, and so when we suggested they talk to attorney right away, they had a change of heart. We did extend for a couple days because there was an issue. The finances were in line. The mortgage was in line. Everybody was set to close. The sellers had already signed, but there was an it. And we have to talk about the its. There was an it. They weren't quite ready to move. They hadn't had everything done on their end, not for paperwork or for closing, logistically. And they wanted a few more days. So we got them a few more days and everybody's happy. We're closing on Monday. Guys,
Beautiful.
we're here to solve problems. We're here not to throw our hands in the air and say, okay, we'll cancel. We need to find out what the its are to keep your buyers in place, keep your sellers in place. Because Kathleen, what happens when somebody wants to cancel after they're under contract and legally obligated? What happens?
No, we have those, my two favorite words, specific performance.
Yes.
I love those words. And guess what's going to happen, especially in a market like this? The judge is going to enforce it. Oh, yes, he is. You know why? Because a home, real estate, is considered to be unique of itself. There is no other home just like that one that you're purchasing. No, there's not. So that being said, specific performance, and it's not pretty when you tack on our attorney fees and costs and on and on and on, damages. Oh, my other favorite word. So yeah, we don't
So
want to
what
go down
happens?
that road.
That's
We
right.
want it to close.
Yeah. And what happens when the seller wants to close, when you got a buyer ready, willing, and able to close?
That's right. If you don't, Mr. Seller, you have the B word. And I'm not going to use the curse word, even though that's what you're thinking when a seller wants to pull a stunt like that. It's a breach. It means
is.
you're going to lose too, Mr. Seller. Yes. And we've had crazy stories come up with sellers changing their mind. Remember the time we had a seller who called on a Sunday and said she had a vision and that she was going to die if she closed.
Yes, I remember that.
And I said, I'll talk to the manager. We'll get back to you on Monday. It's not going to change anything.
Yeah.
And she's getting them to calm down. And guess what? We closed on Monday.
Yeah, we did.
She had visions, folks, visions. That's called a medication problem. We
Yeah,
don't go
and
there.
it was. That was a
Yes, it
medication
was.
problem.
Oh my goodness. That's right. We had two of those. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
we did.
Oh, fun.
It's real fun. The sellers, what are they obligated to? Commissions.
Oh yes.
They got to pay the commissions. If they're going to cancel, not only could they get sued from the buyer for non-performance and breach of contract, they have to pay us, because what do we have to do with commissions? We're obligated to pay the co-brokes. We're obligated to pay the co-broke agents. So we have to get our commissions to be able to pay out what we have, what our obligations are. And guys, it's not pretty. And to have these conversations have to be done very nicely as an option. And the seller I sat in front of yesterday, because I had to go sit in front of her because I really need to see what was going on and why they were freaking out wanting to cancel. And it was because they had lost a house that they were trying to get up north. They got outbid, and but she thought we could just cancel everything and no big deal, and the buyer can get their deposit back. It doesn't work that way. Number one, you need to talk to an attorney. Here's your contract. What's your contract say? And your contract with the broker. What's your broker contract say on the listing agreement?
Right.
We had to go through that exercise, and then she began to understand. It's like, oh, I just thought I could just cancel. Don't we have a right to cancel at any time? This is a seller talking to me. I said, no.
Right. Right.
But what's the situation? What can we do? And really it came down to, we need another month. I got to find a place to live. My kids want me up north. And it's like, okay, let's go there. Let's talk to the buyer's agent and see if that buyer can extend. And fortunately, they're not even moving down until the end of September. They were graciously gave us 2 months.
And that's called in psychology looking at the problem behind the problem.
Yes.
It's not because it's not what they're saying initially that's truly the problem. You have to pull like an onion. I always like to tell agents it's like an onion. You pull back the layers, and the more layers you pull back, the more you're going to find out the truth behind the problem. And you're very good at being able to sit down one-on-one with the sellers or with the buyers and calming them down and getting to what's really at the root of the issue. That's the only way you're going to do it. Could we get that resolved by yelling and screaming at the phone? You're an idiot. Get a lawyer. Kiss my ass. Excuse my mouth. No, that's not the way to do it. That's not how we do it.
Yeah, and guys, agents do react that way, not you guys. You guys are.
They do it to Craig too.
Yeah,
You know,
they
the
do.
other morning meeting, he had an email from some nasty people, and they used language far worse than I would consider using, or
Yeah.
you would consider using, or any of our agents would. Well, some of our agents might, but they certainly wouldn't put it in a email to tell a broker to go F himself and this, that, and the other. And I mean, that was stunning. And he did absolutely nothing wrong. These were
No.
people that were not willing to listen or willing to talk.
Yeah. They're all about the fight, guys. Our business is not about the fight. Our business is about negotiations, purely, solely.
Correct.
It's the only thing we do, and that's our real value, is learning how to negotiate through the difficult things. It's not finding the buyer or seller, guys. Everybody thinks about finding the buyer or
Oh,
seller.
no.
Easy
No.
to do.
It is.
It's
It
not.
is easy to do,
It is
especially when
not.
you're trying to fight. You have to put
Yeah.
that, flush that one away.
Yeah.
Because it's really about helping them with what? Their dream come true. Real estate purchase is usually their most largest asset that they're ever going to deal with. And we know from good training, emotions have no place in this business. However, for that seller or for that buyer, emotions is what they're all about because
That's right.
it's so personal to them. They raised a family in that house. There's still little tick marks on the wall where their children were growing. You
That's
know,
right.
they're very, very attached to that. It's rare that you're going to get a seller that's highly analytical and not with that emotional attachment.
That's right.
Same
Well,
for
you're
the
dealing,
buyers.
yeah, absolutely. You're dealing with, number one, their most emotional asset they'll ever have is their home. It's their personal home. It's personal. And their largest financial asset. And you guys out there, if you think you want to practice on your buyers and sellers and you don't know this business, you need to rethink that. You need to practice outside and then be your stellar with your buyers and sellers, because we deal with hundreds of thousands of dollars for our clients.
And we do.
It's serious. It's serious. So that's what makes it puts us a step above and beyond, because we offer so much training on this that you guys become really stellar agents. So prepping this buyer. Okay, we're here to prevent things from happening. So being proactive, I'm all about being proactive, aren't you, Kat?
Absolutely, absolutely. With a big smile.
A big smile. So number one, if they've got to get a lender, you need to partner with that lender up front with your buyer. Now they're part of your team and part of getting this buyer what they want in a timely manner. And you need to be talking to this lender and know who this lender is, because I guarantee you there are some buyers out there that have, I got my own buddy, he's a lender and he's done, you know, and he's my best friend. Well, those best friends can screw up a deal faster than anything. You need to talk to the lender.
Especially the banks. I'm sorry to bash the bank,
God,
but
yes,
they are the most difficult to deal with. And a lot of the buyers coming from up north, they've got a long-term relationship with Mr. Bank. Mr. Bank is closed on the weekends. Mr. Bank can get to us when they feel like it. Mr. Bank doesn't have a clue what a Florida condo looks like, or what the terms are, a budget, or questions or answers. Oh,
no, they really don't. And Bank of America, and I do Bank of America, but I would never use them for a loan, because 60 days out, Wells Fargo, 60 days out. These are institutions that people use nationally that are so hard to deal with. So hard to deal with. Where if you're using a mortgage broker, like the partners we have, you know, they're 24/7 a lot of times. They're right on the weekends. You know, you can partner on the weekends, talk to that lender on the weekends, you know, and get things in line prior to making an offer and prior to looking at houses.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't even put anybody in my car without knowing that their credit's been pulled and their employers have been contacted and they're golden. And knowing how much money, big deal. How much money can they go above and beyond what they're approved for? How much cash?
That's key. Especially in a hot market like this. Do we have wiggle room? Or should they be looking at a price point below this to give them wiggle room?
Yeah. And that's what I'm recommending, getting prices, you know, if you're good up to 300,000, start looking at 250, 275. You got to have that wiggle room.
Yes,
Don't go to the max. Don't not go to the max on this, because you're going to get outbid probably every time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just heard on TV this morning, Manatee County is here. Well, Hillsborough County, the average sale price here is 300. Manatee County is 3.25.
Yeah.
I
And
can't
then,
even think what Sarasota is. It's probably up to 350.
and there's
You
really
know?
nothing for 3.25 except
Yeah.
maybe, and our 3.25 over here is a mobile home,
Yep.
is a small piece of property, a lot,
Yeah.
maybe, is a townhouse or a condo. It's not single family homes.
Yeah, unless it's an old house that needs a lot of work.
No, even the old houses, they're going for 450 and up, and they're tearing them
Oh,
down and building new,
yeah.
like South Tampa did.
Yep. Yep.
It's
So,
crazy.
we're in a total different market with these buyers. The more education you can give them before you start making offers, the better offer they will make and be able to make, because it's up to them. We're not here to tell them what to do. We're here to give them the options and the knowledge, and the advice about which way they need to go, and leave it up to them to make their own decisions.
And when talking about finance approval from a good lender, what that also means is desktop underwriting.
Yes.
What that means, there's a huge difference between a pre-approval and desktop underwriting. Pre-approval is usually a pulse.
Yep.
It means somebody's alive, social security number, driver's license, and maybe they know a little bit, but they know what the client has told them. They haven't looked at any real paper.
That's
When
true.
you do desktop underwriting, they've looked at the docs, they've looked at the history, they've done a soft pull. They have a real good idea. This person's either solid or this person is jello, and we better put them on the back burner until they bring their credit score up.
Yeah. You don't want to get in a situation where you make an offer and get it accepted, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, the buyer's not approved. Really? You know how upset everybody's going to be? Everyone. The seller, the buyer, the agents. It's we don't want, and you can prevent that situation from happening by being proactive.
Right.
So this is about giving strength to your buyers. Do they have to sell a home? And well, what type of financing? VA is great because a lot of times you have the story with a vet, and a vet will sell to a vet sometimes over everybody else. We love that.
Oh, absolutely.
So you got to have that story, that heartfelt letter. FHA, oh my goodness, it's so difficult right now with FHA. Oh my goodness. We had
You
a
have
FHA.
to have a conversation with your buyer and prepare them to make sure that they have the ability to come up.
Yep.
We've had several like that in the last 3 weeks, and they've had to bring to the table more money that didn't appraise. But because our agents are taught well that to prepare your buyer for that, then they are aware of that, and they're able to have that discussion with the buyer, so they don't go into sticker shop, or they don't say, well, you didn't tell me, I'm not doing this. And then you start all over again.
Absolutely. And on an FHA, what can they do? Okay, we can't ask the seller for money. Really, you're going to get thrown out. We had one thrown out the other day. The buyers were really upset, but they were trying to ask for 4% back in closing costs. Not going to happen. Just not going to happen in today's environment. But what can the buyers get? They can get gift money.
That's right.
They can get gift money. If they've got mom and dad, family members, they can gift them $10,000, $15,000 sometimes. And you got parents that can do this for the kids.
Oh, absolutely.
It's that's a great option. So you need to know up front if there's a accessibility to some gift money that they may need to use. We've been training on that here with Dell and Tom, because I think since we can't ask for money back at closing from the seller, sometimes these buyers need a boost, especially first-time home buyers.
Sure.
So that gift money, there's not a limit on it. I didn't know that until recently.
Yeah, we used to think it was 10,000. At one point, there was a limit. I want to say about 20 years ago, a $10,000 limit, and that got lifted.
It did. It absolutely did. So they can help with down payment assistance. They can help with closing costs. They can gift money. And so the lenders need to see where the gift money is coming from and stuff, but that's an easy thing to do.
Sure, sourcing of funds.
That is a option for your FHA buyers. So you need to have that in front of them and ready. If you have to pull that trigger and you've got an FHA that you need to get out there and make an offer with the buyer, you need to have that in your back pocket ready to go if you need to do it, if you want to win the bid.
Correct.
So gift money is a great viable option right now. Same with VA. If the vet does need some gift money for closing, sometimes you can get it. We don't see it as much with the VAs. I'm so sorry, I need some lemon today. Well, we need with the VA, so if you're writing an offer, and I would be talking to the listing agent saying, is your client a vet or are they active duty? Are they service related? You know, if they are, it would be good to know that, because then you can really craft that letter about the military,
That's so
background that
true.
your buyer has. Yeah.
And then that's when you start bridging gaps between buyers and
Yeah.
sellers, and they could
Yeah.
come from opposite corners of the globe. But that's that one thing that's going to unify them and win the deal. Sometimes,
Absolutely.
if they have children and they're the family that's selling has adorable little Yorkies, we heard about that this
Yeah,
week, and the
we did.
buyers had Yorkies. Those are the cutest little stinking dogs, aren't they? And people that have those creatures love those little dogs. They're beautiful. There was a deal that just went under contract that we heard about this week.
Yeah, where the letter came from the dog.
Yeah.
That was very creative, very good thing to do. Great psychology.
Thinking outside the box.
Absolutely. You guys, this is what I keep saying, it's what we get paid for. This is really what we get paid for.
That's why you want to
Yeah.
tune into our meetings too, because you're
Yeah,
going to pick up these
absolutely.
little nuggets. I mean, I'm going to carry that around in my head forever, because I just thought
Me
that was
too.
the coolest idea.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really unique.
Yep. So, so partnering with this lender, with your buyer, you are now couple things. You got them ready to go. You got them ready to make great offers and probably get a winning offer. And what else do you have? You've got a contract that probably will not cancel.
Yeah.
Guys, we're having a 20-30% cancellation rate because buyers are freaking out right now. And they're going, oh my God, there's nothing to pick from. I had to pick this house. I don't really like it. And that's what's happening. It's not about the inspections part of the time. It's not about financing part of the time. It's about, I really didn't like this, I'm being forced to buy this home. That's the way they feel. It doesn't mean that's what happened, but they're feeling pressure.
Correct. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So you've got to have those discussions too with, inventory is limited. I know we've got this house here. Your wife likes it. You kind of like it. It's got you the garage that you wanted and stuff. If we wait, prices are going to go up, which is true. You may not be able to find another house like this if you wait around and don't take this house. This isn't pressure. This is giving them facts.
We're seeing the same thing with condos. We talk a lot about single family homes, but I will tell you, a lot of times, and we've had that experience over here. Wife really, really loves a condo. They fly in to see it. Husband's really not into it. He drags his feet, he drags his feet. And then he bails the very last minute, right before that final inspection period, because he knows he can. That's why we hate as-is contracts. We hate them.
Yeah.
Use the regular one and zero out if you have to, as a buyer's or as a listing agent. When you're on the buyer side, of course, you want to get everything you can for your buyer. But
absolutely,
the regular contracts are not that difficult.
No,
they're
just not. Much more preferred. How much in escrow? Chris did cover this really well yesterday.
Yes, he did.
And he had a good meeting. I've heard from the attorney. I've heard from Jim Holloway. I've heard from Craig. They sit on two different sides, but actually agree in the middle. And what I really like to recommend is, put enough down up front, $5,000 or so, even on a VA or FHA. And then on when the inspections if you have a 10-day inspection, on the 11th day, put another $5,000.
That's right.
You got to make it hurt if they walk away. That is one of the things, that is one of the glue, that is the glue that will keep this deal together when things get a little stressful. Is that money, they'll walk away from 1,000, they'll walk away from 2, they may walk from 5. Will people walk from 10?
No.
No. So, get that money in 2 different increments, even on FHA and VA, because you've got to show that seller now how serious you are.
Because that seller's taking the market, he or she is taking that property off the market. That time ticks. And if you get a flake that's on the other side and bails on you, you've lost that time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is one of the things people forget about. This is a relationship business, guys. It's nothing but a relationship business.
And it's fiduciary duties.
Yeah. You need to know your buyer's story. You have to have a level of trusted relationship with them so they can trust what you're telling them. If you're not there and your buyer is questioning you on everything, or your seller is questioning you on everything, bring in a second person, bring in another agent, bring in your management, because they'll probably more than likely say the same thing to you, to your clients. But you've got to build that trust. It doesn't happen overnight. You've got to show your value. You need to know your buyer's story so you can write a better offer. You've got to, and understand, fiduciary responsibility comes as single agency. It's not on transaction agency.
Correct.
You want that fiduciary level with your clients. You want them to trust you in and out. It's not for you to tell them what to do. It's to give them the information so they can make better decisions on what they want.
This transaction is limited confidentiality, where with a single agency, you have that magic word, confidentiality. It's full. It's not limited like transactional. So what happens when you're a single agent and you're on that phone saying, oh, Mr. Buyer, I know he'll come up to blah, blah, blah. What have you just done? You've breached.
Yes.
Loose lips. Think what? Ships.
Think ships and kill deals.
Oh yeah. I can get you in trouble with FRAG.
Oh gosh, yeah. So there's big fat fines on those. One of the things I see, because of people being so stressed right now with agents and stuff, and buyers putting pressure on the agents, let's do verbal back and forth. Let's play this verbal ping pong with the other agent. We'll get this figured out. Then we'll put it on paper. Please never do that.
No.
Ever.
No.
I mean,
and don't be texting.
Yes, that's yeah, don't do that.
I know I've said it a million times, but I'm going to say it again, because your phone records don't have any confidentiality attached to them. They're easy to get subpoenaed. It doesn't take but 10 seconds. If there's an ongoing case, they're going to get it as part of discovery. And guess what they're going to see? When you wrote all that crazy stuff you didn't really mean for everybody to see, they're going to see it.
Yes, they will. And that goes to your character then.
Yeah, it does.
It does. Goes to your character. So verbal, going back and forth with the other agent on email without a buyer's signature on a piece of paper or the seller's signature on a piece of paper is what? Nothing.
Illusory.
Nothing.
It's a dream, it's a wish, it's a hope, it's a prayer that we fly across the ocean and come back.
Yeah. So it's not in the best interest of your clients for you to act like you can speak for your clients. Guys, I hear this and I'm seeing this a lot. That's why I'm bringing it up, because the buyers just ask them what they'll do. The sellers just ask them what they'll do. Well, here, let's put it on paper. Let's put it on addendum. Let's send it over, see what they'll do. That's what your job is to do.
And the easiest way to help people understand that, and it's been a practice, and our agents do this, is to protect your interests, to present your best interests. This is what we have to do. This helps you get the answers you need, and this allows me to represent you to our fullest capacity. You want this done properly. So in your best interest, this is what we're going to do. You are the driver of that train, but you can derail it if you allow yourself to be controlled by your client's emotions. And that comes right back into play again. You have to just calm them down. And our agents are so good about this, but sometimes you've got some buyers or sellers, they just want to run you over like a Mack truck. Well, guess what? They're going to have to just stand down and stand in a line of thousands.
True. Yeah. Absolutely. And I fully agree with you on this, because what happens when you start doing verbals, you go back and forth between the agents?
Confusion.
It's not legal.
Ambiguity.
It's ambiguous. Yes. And the bottom line is verbal offers are valid in Florida, but they are not enforceable.
Under the statute of frauds, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Anything over $500 and above has to be in writing. It's a basic tenet of contract law. Statute of frauds. Remember that, SOF instead of SOS.
Yeah. Now, y'all, when you went to school and you got out, you put all that behind you because it was boring and stupid. We know. But it was there to keep you out of trouble.
Real estate law is the most constipated area of law there is.
Yeah, it is.
Now, even though the market changes, the law itself takes a long time for those wheels to catch up. That's what we've always said in this field. But the law is there.
Absolutely.
Follow it.
Guys, we have contract changes on occasion. I think the last one we had was 2019.
Correct.
And who changes that? It's the attorneys for the state of Florida.
Those stinking lawyers.
Yep. It's those lawyers, Kathleen.
I hate them. Hate them. Shakespeare didn't like them either.
Yeah, I know.
Let them eat cake.
So, but you know, we have to go back to what are we supposed to do for our clients? Is to help them on every level. It's not tell
That's
them what
right.
to do. It's just to help them
No,
give information.
no.
You know, the better contract you write, the more chances are it's going to get accepted and stay till closing. You know, it's great to write a winning offer and you get that, and then 3 days later, your buyer's going, I changed my mind. I don't like the color wallpaper. It's true. So hence the standard contracts.
That's
Get
right.
away from the as is with right to cancel and, you know, inspect and cancel. Really stop it.
Yeah.
I know 99% of the deals out there that we receive from agents are the as is. You can always counter back on a standard.
And
Keep
we
that
can, if they
buyer
insist on us putting it on a regular contract, then when inspection issues come up, there's a way that you, if you can get the seller to do anything on inspections, because as is as is. But if you are so lucky, now in this market, it's going to be very difficult to get any cooperation on repairs. But if you're so lucky, you put the magic language in the addendum for the repairs, whatever it is that you're asking for your buyers, reserve right to re-inspect. Because if you don't throw those magic words in there, you don't have that right in an as-is contract. In the regular
That's
contract,
correct.
you do.
That's correct. And once you pass your deadline, we just had this happen last week. Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
Oh, no.
Did the inspection on the 10th day. Well, of course they get the report on the 11th day, the day after inspection period ended. And now they want to ask for stuff. And it's like, I'm sorry, we told you all along when you had to get inspected, we gave
That's
you
right.
inspectors.
That's
You
right.
didn't follow through. I'm sorry, you missed your opportunity to ask for stuff and you missed your opportunity to cancel. You have to go
Nope.
forward and close.
Nope.
And they,
Or the agent will come around and say, oh, my buyer just wants to go take a look at the roof. Nope, you had your inspection period.
Yeah.
Nope, your buyer's not going to have somebody look at the roof. But they just need to take a peek in the chimney. I said, they can do that after they close.
Yeah.
Well, you're a bitch. I said, no, I'm a good agent and I'm not waiving my client's rights. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Refrain from the obscenities. Don't call me like this. You call me back when you calm down. But this is where we're at. We
This
close.
has happened to us, guys.
No, every week. Every week.
I know.
You won't even know the words that we're called.
But being proactive,
Smile.
getting that buyer, once you get under contract, have them line up that home inspector. And guys, now it's taking longer because home inspectors are really hugely busy. Have a home inspector lined up prior before you make an offer.
Exactly.
Find out, when can you get to me? Can you get to me by in 2 days, 3 days? You'll know. And then you give them 2 or 3 because maybe the one can't, but maybe somebody else can. Guys, this is so critical because we're seeing the backup right now, the backlog with home inspectors. And it doesn't change your contract because your home inspector can't get to you.
No.
You've got to find somebody else to do it within the time frame that is allotted.
And the listing agent's not going to call and remind you, oh, did you get that inspection done? Oh, God, no. We're not laying in wait, but that's not our responsibility as a listing agent.
Absolutely.
We represent the sellers. We're not going to do the buyer's agent job for them.
Yes, absolutely. So getting this stuff in place prior to being proactive is really good. Knowing these buyers, why are they moving? What's the motivation? Because there's different levels of motivation. Their home sold, they got to move. Okay, they're really motivated to sell. And they're really motivated to buy. They got to buy. Is it work related? Job transfer, really got to buy. Better schools, maybe. I want better schools. I want to be in Fish Hawk. Oh God, the prices went up in Fish Hawk. Maybe I can't afford Fish Hawk. That's happening. Interest rate. I got to buy something now because I want that 2.8, 75% interest rate that's going on right now, which is a good thing. Right. Has there been a death? Is there a divorce? Is there other situations? Is there illness? You need to know the story that you're not going to share, but you need to know the story so you can help guide them. And knowing what they are going through is going to give you the empathy. It should give you the empathy to really get in their level on what they really want to do to help them. A lot of agents don't do this.
That's truu.
They shortcut this. And that you shortcut this because when I ask what's the buyer's story, it's like they just said they wanted to move, and it's like you need to know the story. You need to get on that relationship level with that buyer so that you become a trusted advisor. Without that, a lot of stuff can fall through the cracks.
It's very true. Our office mascot just walked in. That's Rocky.
Oh.
And it looks like we got a question here from our panelists. I mean,
Okay.
from our viewers, sorry. It
Viewers.
says, have a seller that has issues clearing title. Buyer wants to lease until they can close. What are the options?
No. Oh, sorry, that fell out of my mouth.
Yeah, no, I hate lease backs. I hate that. I know Jim Holloway and I agree on this 100%. We usually agree on
Absolutely.
everything because we're the same mindset. Because what? There's insurance issues.
Yes.
That buyer doesn't own that house until it's closed. Until then, the seller is on the hook. What if the buyer falls asleep with a cigarette in his hand or her hand and lights the place on fire? Or
Who's
I know a
insurance
better
covered?
one. This happened to an attorney friend of ours in Ruskin. What if they decide they want to put gasoline into the lawnmower and they try to start the lawnmower in the garage and they blow up the garage?
Oh, God.
Who pays for it?
Neither. Because if you haven't contacted the insurance companies, because the homeowner's insurance is for the homeowner. This
That's
is
right.
not supposed to be a rental property. Different insurance for investment properties.
You're absolutely right.
Now you're frauding the homeowner insurance. The buyer's insurance, if he hadn't gone out and got insurance, is not going to cover it. There's nobody going to cover. Now you got a huge lawsuit on your hands. And
And
guys,
a lot of insurance had clauses that this is not a rental property, and it's very
absolutely.
loan specific. You will see that language with your VA loans. They usually prohibit you from leasing or somebody else being in that home 1 to 2 years. You will see that with FHA clauses in their loans. You will see that in condo communities. If there's no leasing allowed in that condo community and you've let that buyer come in there and that's happened, guess what you've just done? Not only have you made yourself liable as Mr. Seller, but the condominium association is going to come after you as well for damages to, if let's say it blows up in the exterior of the building, you don't own from the doorstep out. You don't. That belongs to the association. We had a situation like that come up over here in Sarasota. Thank God it wasn't us. It wasn't our brokerage.
Yeah.
But it was a
So
neighbor.
he was asking for options. So there are options.
Yeah, I know. We're giving
There
worst
are
case
options.
scenarios.
So we can extend closing. What does your contract do? It automatically extends closing if there are title issues. Automatic.
That's right.
Seller has to stay in place, buyer has to stay in place up to 30 days. And so that, everybody needs to understand that. So we've got to, and if the buyers, sold their home and they got to move out, there are some short-term rentals around that they may have to get into or stay with family.
Stay with some friends.
Because what happens if you can't get this title issue resolved in timely manner? What happens? That buyer is thinking they're going to buy this house. No, they can't, because maybe there's some major litigation that may come up because of the title. That's happened, guys.
Could be an action to quiet title that might be needed.
Yeah, and that
You have
takes
to extend
time.
out.
It takes time. One of my deals many years ago, I had the listing. We were all happy. We got a buyer right away. It's 2004. Yay, yay, yay. Wonderful little husband and wife. Found them a house to move to. The buyers, we started pulling title. The title company before, when they bought it, the one back before them, the previous second sellers, sold the house. There's 4 siblings involved, right? Everybody had to sign off.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
God. They
I
got
remember
3
this.
signatures. Where was the 4th one? Well, they never got it and they closed. Title company issue.
Yes.
But it was a cloud. What do we have to do? We had to find the 4th sibling. Where was he? In prison. The title company had to get somebody out there to close that out, get that legally done. That took time. That took 2 to 3 months. And we were expecting to close really fast. And this held up because we had to find the guy, and we finally found him. And we finally got a notary out there for him to sign off on everything from 2 closings prior. This wasn't even the closing that happened with our sellers. It was prior to them. So the title company that closed on them also was in default because they didn't pull that.
And we had another one with a piece of land with 4 sellers.
Yeah.
And what happened with that one? When it originally closed eons and eons ago, there was a problem with the legal description in the land. Nobody caught it until our title company got it. So what do we have to do? Get on the phone and pray that the attorney who originally drafted it was still around, or his firm, to make the amendments to correct it. This was a commercial piece of property. We tracked them down. It took about a month and 2 months to get that corrected.
Yep, you're
And
right.
and we had to go through that. Then we had another one that came up where it was a lovely lady. We had our home listed in Sun City. And unbeknownst to me, when I go to the listing appointment, she shows me the deed on the property. I'm looking at the deed. Oh no, we got a problem here. Grantor and grantee is all mixed up. She had inadvertently had her New York attorney who drafted this convey the house back to the ex-husband. So what do we have here? We've
Uh-oh.
got, and she recorded it in Florida, which put a cloud on the title, and we had to do an action to quiet title. So myself and the attorney for my wonderful client had to go to court. Ex-husband shows up, and he's a lunatic. He is preaching to everybody in the audience. Well, thankfully, the judge, who happened to be a dear personal friend of mine, understands that type of ongoings. He was very nice about it, got the ex-husband calmed down, and we got that title quieted, and we were able to close. And I had to keep these buyers in place for 2 months while this was ongoing. And we got the action to quiet title done
Yeah,
5 days before Christmas.
yeah, that's tough, guys.
This
These
is the
are tough
stuff we
things.
do.
Yeah. And this is why you don't want a buyer doing a, pre-occupancy, because there is so much stuff, that could go on that may inhibit. And if that buyer's in that house, you do have to have a lease. And if you should be using the addendums say for pre-occupancy, an attorney needs to be hired with the
Absolutely.
party splitting it to write up the lease. And
Always have the attorneys do it for 2 reasons. Number one, you have a stake in the outcome of this transaction. That creates a bias for you. You have the motivating factor to protect yourself. You're bringing in an outside party who has no stake in the outcome, who's just going to do what's right and represent for the fullest extent of the parties as they are retained for. That takes the heat off of you. So if this ever does blow up and goes to Freck's going to see you did the right thing. You brought counsel in, you let counsel look at it, you stepped away.
absolutely, absolutely. So proactive strategies. I hope we helped you on this. If not, go ahead and let us know, because the options are kind of limited, but it's just being patient, extending closing. Always extend closing. That's a great option. Extend that closing out until, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, if the parties are able to do that. It's always a good option instead of trying to put somebody in there before or after closing. So we got one more. We got a question here. Oops, let me get to the questions, chats. Seller has tenants and wants to extend because tenants have not found a property yet. Uh-oh. What do I tell the buyers that have committed financially are not able to extend? Okay, what legally does the contract say? The seller's obligated to close on the closing day, they said. Tenants got to get out, guys. That they have to get out.
Yeah, was this a contract for a purchase of a property for an investor and keeping the tenants in place? Was it disclosed that there was a long-term tenant in this property, or is this a month-to-month? Is it a week-to-week tenancy? All those things should be in the MLS disclosure as to what type of property we're looking at.
So I would, this is the seller, the buyers can't extend because they got to close. They got their financial commitment already and are in place to close. The seller's obligated to close. Seller's got to get so at this point, Mr. Seller, get an attorney.
That's right, because the tenants are not a party to the contract between the sellers and the buyers.
Nope. And I will tell you, they've got to get out. And that if that conversation hadn't been said to these tenants by the seller, it's probably big. It may be a big surprise, but the buyers, what do I tell my buyers? They're committed financially. This seller is obligated to close this contract. So it's now time to talk to an attorney on the seller's side.
Correct.
So if we have the seller, we need to be giving them that information now to talk to an attorney, because they are obligated to close. Now do the buyers, do the tenants need a couple extra days? We can extend closing. Can't extend closing. Buyer needs to move.
Yeah, the tenants need to move. The seller's responsible for that. The seller can pay the tenants to move out of the proceed and send them on their way. This is a seller's issue.
Absolutely is. And we represent the buyers. Their sellers are sellers friends with tenants. Of course, tell the seller they can move their friends into their house.
That's right. They can have their friends stay with them while we close.
Yeah. So they're, if that's going on with the sellers, they've got to revert send the contract back over to that listing agent and let them know they're obligated to close on the day. They've got to do, it's their responsibility to do something with those tenants. But you're closing, move forward to closing on this with your buyers. Because if the sellers can't close, they're in breach. They
That's
could be
right.
in breach. And, but I'd rather deal things friendly. You know,
Sure.
we gotta have that chat with the seller's agent and find out, look, I know they want to extend. I can't, my buyers can't, they need to close, they're ready to go.
Yep.
We got a buyer ready,
Yep.
willing, and able.
Mr. Seller, pay for your buyer, your tenants to move.
So
That's it.
if the seller defaults, the listing agent, the listing broker still owes us commissions.
That's right.
Huh. Okay, that needs to be talked about too. So these things do need to be brought up in a nice manner, in a nice fashion. We're not here to fight. We're here to give advice and to
Sure.
give solutions. And but I think in this whole situation, these friends may be able to move in with this, you know, listing agent, you know, or the
Probably.
seller, yeah. So you know, just we need to have the conversations, find out the whole story here, though.
Right.
What if he didn't tell the tenants? Uh-oh, there could be issues. But you know, that's thanks for bringing that up.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, very good point. Proactive strategies on and overcoming any reason to cancel before they happen. Proactivity is key here. Credit, employment fully pulled, proof of funds, if they're paying cash, proof of funds. Now, granted, you know, on Saturday and Sunday, if they're working with the bank, or they have their institution, their financial institution, they can't get a letter on Saturday or Sunday. But if you knew they wanted to buy Wednesday, they need to get it Wednesday for you, or Thursday. And chances are you're going to be running with buyers on the weekend, but you've already talked to them in the middle of the week. So be proactive, get that proof of funds so you're ready to go. Short inspection periods or inspection waivers versus, I don't like the inspection waiver. I
No.
think it opens up a lot of issues, which I just had a call last week. We just closed a week ago. The buyer's calling me yesterday going, well, we got a water leak now. Oop, this happened to me, your river house. We got a water leak now. Mr. Seller needs to come and fix it. No, we closed last week. He had the inspection, he did everything. They did the walkthrough, everything was dry. Leak came up after closing. Whose fault? Whose problem?
Things happen.
Things happen. It's a new buyer.
Good buyer's agent would make sure these people have what? A home warranty. So they
Yes.
call the home warranty company and get it
Yes.
fixed. Don't
And they
call
did
us 3 in the morning.
Yeah, they didn't do that. But they really wanted the seller to come back in and fix it.
Oh,
It's
I'm
like,
sure
you
they
know,
do. They want somebody to what? Hey.
hey, yeah. So it's on their shoulders. But I really like inspections anyway. That buyer has a right to know what's going on with this house. And to put an inspection waiver in there, you're taking away those rights to know about this house. I know it might make it you may think it's a stronger deal, but you know, if we're a single agent for this buyer, we absolutely want to get that inspection in there. We do. And it could be inspection with no repairs. Do the standard contract with 0 repair limits, right? Do that.
Yes,
But
you can do that, but it's risky, especially with these buyers jumping from place to place. We had a situation like that come up over here, and the agent didn't realize by putting a 0 in there what he had done. Neither did the buyer, because again, he was a brand new agent. He wrote the contract at midnight. He was trying so hard to get it done. Long story short, it did work out and was able to get into another property because it was an as-is. But it took some wrangling and a whole lot of patience and working with the seller's agent on the other side, because the seller's agent didn't want to cancel it. It's the seller, I'm sorry, I misspoke. The seller did not want to cancel it, did not want to have somebody else come in, and because this was a cash deal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Tricky.
Yep. No appraisal contingency. I just found out last week, thank goodness to our wonderful mortgage company here in the office, Encompass Mortgage, if you're writing like an 80-20 loan, guys, this is an FHA 80-20 or a 90-10 conventional loan, the lender can waive the appraisal and save the buyer $350, $400, because the lenders are beginning to understand what's happening. And if there's enough money coming in for down where they really still feel protected on their mortgage amount, they can waive the appraisal contingency. Tom did that for someone, or Dell did that for someone last week. But it was an 80-20 loan, and they felt confident. So what a great thing to put on the contract, with when you're coming in with a mortgage, is no appraisal contingency, and the lender's already said no appraisal contingency needed. You don't need to do a contingency there. So that is really a great thing to know. That's why you need to partner with your buyer's lender. Lower
Very
appraisal contingencies. Okay, so we know it's going to appraise for less. We got a $350,000 home. We know it's probably going to appraise for $335,000. Put in a lower appraisal contingency
The gap.
on the gap. Make up the gap if your buyer has the money to come to the table. So I mean, that's a great thing, which Chris did bring that up yesterday. So great job, Chris.
Yeah, that's having conversations with your buyer and educating them up front so they understand that they have these tools, because this is not the kind of stuff that you're going to be able to find on Google. And
No.
that, buyers like to Google everything. They like to look at Mr. Zillow, who's never been in your house and doesn't know what the house looks like, and compares apples to watermelons, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, the best thing we hear here is, well, in Ohio, we didn't do it that way.
Welcome to Florida.
We're in Florida. We're not in Ohio.
Yeah. No. Exactly.
So keeping the buyer in place, standard contract, 0 repair limits. Escalation clause is the best thing since sliced bread. And
Along with kick-out clauses.
and you need to do this on all your offers, because it is that important and that crucial on some of these. I know in South Tampa, we're getting 30-40 offers on a one house. Guys, that's insane. But if you're in that market, you need to put that escalation clause and make it the prettiest one on the block.
And we have a great question. What happens if the house appraises for a higher price than what was agreed upon between the seller and the buyer? That appraisal belongs to the buyer. You don't give it to the seller. The only thing they're entitled to know is it appraised at value, contract price, value. The seller cannot come back and ask for more money. If they could, boy, they would. But it's not their appraisal.
And guys, you have to know this: the buyer. Hold on one second. The appraiser is going to come in. They see the contract. They know what it's under contract for. They're not going to go way above that contract price. They will never do that. They'll never do that. They want to make it at least to the contract price, maybe 5,000 above. So you're not going to see something 15, 20, 30,000 above asking price right now.
But sometimes you will get appraisers who are super aggressive. And this happened to one of our agents over here. Calls at 10 o'clock at night. I was amazed that my agent actually picked up the phone that time of the night to talk to the appraiser, but she did. She's a wonderful agent. He wanted to get into the house that was owner occupied, where there's home businesses by the sellers in the house, 8 o'clock the next morning. Couldn't accommodate him that fast. That's not even.
It's not realistic. Yeah, it's not realistic.
So they let him come in at noon. The appraiser was very snarky, and they've owned this property for 3 years. Guess what comes in with the appraisal 3 days later? Below the price they paid 3 years ago. Well, we put the house right back. We were getting ready to put it right back on the market. We got it back under contract. It closed yesterday. It came in above contract price.
Yeah, remember, appraisal price is an opinion at that moment.
That's right. And because he was mad that we didn't dance when he wanted us to. And appraisers, they have different temper tantrums too. So we have to really kiss the ring and be super nice to these folks, because they're wired up, stressed out too. Now, in this case, we didn't do anything wrong. Not at all. We couldn't have been nicer. He just, for whatever reason, had Mr. Corncob stuck up there. And well, guess what? We moved on and we got it sold close for a much better price.
You can always challenge the appraisals too, which we have been winning about half of those that we challenge. So guys, if the buyer can challenge the appraisal, so can the seller. We can challenge them if we want to, if we have good reason to, if we have comps that really show a clear picture. So because, if you're getting appraisers in from out of town, which all of you are, you can request an appraiser that knows your local market.
Correct.
Request that when you, with your lender. But if they're coming from out of town, be their best friend, help them. you know, help them understand what's going on and bring your comps. If they don't want to see them, great. You're just there to help. If they really, most of them will say, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate this. I know you know the
Very
market better
true.
than we do." They're going to work with you.
They will.
Short-term inspection periods, if you can get your inspectors in line, do it. No financing contingency, even with financing, do it. If these buyers have 800 credit score and they're putting 30% down, make it a cash deal because they can still get a loan. It's just not contingent on the contingency for financing. Sorry.
And we just got another question. How do you challenge an appraisal? That's a very good question. I know with the VA, I've done a bunch of those. They have their own specific format and a grid that you have to fill out. And you literally, it's almost as though you're literally writing up an appraisal, even though that's not what you're doing. You're providing them the comparables within a certain radius within, usually they want like a quarter, depending, up to a mile. If it's a condominium association property, it's going to be within that unit development, unless there is reason to go outside of it. For example, if you have a condo appraisal that comes in low and you know of a good comp, and you also know that one of the condominiums in that unit development sold really, really cheap because it was a fire sale, estate sale, and you have privy to that information, you could supplement that appraisal contest with that information. Most of your lenders have a specific format that they want you to use for, or not lenders, I'm sorry, appraisers, but I know specifically for VA, it's a type of grid that you fill out. I think conventional is very similar to that.
Yeah, and actually your lender, no matter what type of loan you're doing, will guide you through that. Remember,
that's true. Yes, they will.
Partners on this, they don't get paid until they have a closing too. So they're all off about trying to help get this closed. So they will give us the information, the direction, what we have to do to get this appraisal challenge. So please, you know, go to that when you can. But you need to know your stuff. You need to know why, you know, if you can see the appraisal, we need to see what they used. We also need to know what we know, you know, what's in the area that may be better that we can bring to the table. If there's nothing, don't challenge it. It is what it is. Your appraisal can be just what it is. It could be the price that anybody's going to appraise it at.
And sometimes if you're lucky enough, when you meet the appraiser and you talk about the comps and you have that information, you can verify it. That appraiser will tell you, I really appreciate you giving me this information because otherwise I would have had to use this particular comp and not gone outside of the development. And we're going to see a lot of this with condos, with townhouses. Those are a big challenge. So a single family, you see that from time to time too. They like to stay within that subdivision, but if there's information you have that you can provide that appraiser at the time when they come out and look at that property, that's huge. And you're also going to see now that more appraisers are not going out to condos. They're just doing it visually because of COVID.
We're doing drive-bys.
Yeah.
So the buyer's only one chance to make a first impression to the seller is for their first offer. Guys, always remember that. Don't think, well, they can counter back. No, they won't counter back right now. They'll take the other offer. You've got to get your best foot forward on this with your buyer to give it the best chance of getting accepted. There's no leeway right now to say, well, let them counter back because they'll find somebody else to buy that house in a heartbeat within the same day.
And we have another question. The seller goes to the buyer's lender to challenge the appraisal, right? Usually on the buyer side, if an appraiser comes in low, it's going to be the buyer's agent that's going to be doing the work to do the challenge.
Yes, correct. You're correct. Because who's paying for the appraiser? Buyer.
The buyer.
Yeah, they won't talk to us. Now we can talk to the appraisers all day long, but the buyer's agent and the buyer's lender are going to have to challenge that. So we have one going on right now, and unfortunately it is what it is, and there wasn't anything else to give them anything better, and on an appraisal, so we have the appraisal stuck.
And we have another question. My buyers are currently contesting an appraisal which came in $31,000 below my buyer's offer price. The seller's agent has been insisting my buyer sign a release and cancellation so they can get it back on the market. My buyers, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, that, you know, they can't insist on that. It's really up to the buyer if they want to cancel. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Kat.
Yeah, no problem. My buyers haven't signed the cancellation yet because they are waiting for the contested result. Seller's agent put the listing back on the MLS. My buyers are very upset.
They can't do that. You need to talk to the broker. Call the broker. You're still under contract.
Correct.
That buyer can take that and can close on that property if they're legally, if they can, if they've got the money to close, no matter what the appraisal is. They have the right to contest it.
They do.
So, guys, talk to the broker. They can't put that back active because you don't have a canceled contract yet. So the seller's agent has just stepped out beyond what they should be doing in detriment to the contract. And
Correct.
really, that can be a freck deal, but we don't want to go there. We just want to call the broker and say, hey, keep this back pending. My buyer still may buy. They're looking, they're trying to. The contract's very clear about who can do what, when, and where. So, because we're only hearing part of the story, we need to know the whole story before we can give really good guidance on this.
Right. And then there's another question. Can seller cancel after closing date has passed?
Yes. What happens if closing date passes and the buyer doesn't close? What happens? Contract's dead.
Yep.
Contract's dead, guys. Buyer's in breach. Contract's dead.
Yep.
Contract's dead. We just had that happen, and there's so much.
That's why we need those extensions in place. We had a situation like that came up this week. The lender confused mortgagor and mortgagee, switched them in the insurance document when they were preparing it to send it under for underwriting. Underwriting, of course, kicked it out and said, are you really meaning to say that the bank is going to be the one financing this for the bank and the bank's buying it, not the buyer? So we had to clear that up. And by staying in good communication with both the seller and the buyer, we were able to get this extended. It's closing tomorrow. We were able to get them a 1-day extension. Long short of it, though, is because of good open communication. That's key throughout this. You're probably going to be hearing this theme throughout, but it's really important. Communication, even if there's nothing to report. Craig says that all the time, and he says it for good reason. It's staying engaged with your clients. That way, if something comes up, you need a price reduction, you need an extension, you're going to have their cooperation because you've kept them informed and engaged.
Absolutely. So there is so much going on, guys. You're the calming force in the storm out there. We are in a perfect storm. These are my words of wisdom today. We don't have an inventory shortage. What we have is a lot of buyers buying a lot of homes coming on the market. That's proof, because we took a lot of listings this last few months, and we've sold a lot. So the inventory is there. You need to stay on top of the market with your buyers to make sure that listing comes on right away. You can get that offer in right away, but get your buyers prepared because this is not going to end anytime soon. This is a seller's market, and we are now correcting to the rest of the world for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is no longer the least expensive place to buy in because we have everything here. We have a wonderful city with wonderful situation here in Sunshine. So we have a lot of people moving here. So
same thing in Sarasota, the beaches and all the amenities we have here. People are coming in droves from the northern states. They're tired of being cooped up in little bitty apartments, and they're ready to come here and spend their lives here, be it seasonal or full time.
Absolutely. So you got to be on top. And remember, there are listings coming on the market right now that you didn't know about yesterday. And so the listings are still coming on the market. They're not staying on the market because they're getting sold right away. But you can be in that and get your buyer in that. But you've got to be on top of that market every day. We're running out of time, Kat. Believe it or not, this has been a short hour for us.
We could have done another hour easily because we have so many good agent victory stories here. And this is all about you guys and your victories. And your victories feel good for us, because we know with a lot of hard work and perseverance, you're making it happen. And we're very proud of you. And we thank you for all your hard work every day.
Absolutely. You got an incredible team behind you, and we are your team. So have an awesome day and go out and prosper.
That's it.